Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to the first Immigration.ca live stream of 2017. My name is Andrea, and I'm here with immigration lawyer Colin Singer. Colin is managing partner of Immigration.ca here in Canada. As always, we're going to be discussing the latest developments in immigration news with you today. Always, please, if you have any friends that you think might be interested in this video, please do share this with them. Well, Colin, we have a new immigration minister.
Big changes that have taken place. Yesterday, of course, Canada announced a new immigration minister, the individual, the Honorable Ahmed Hussein. He's a practicing lawyer for the last 5 years, but he has a strong history in public advocacy work and public service. He's a former refugee claimant from Somalia. So he came to Canada in 1993. And it's quite interesting that Canada now has, as an immigration minister, an individual who's very, very familiar with Canada's immigration system. A practicing lawyer. He obviously became a late practitioner, went to University of Ottawa and became licensed to practice in 2012 or 13. I think 12. So he doesn't have a long history as a lawyer, but I think what's important is he has an accolade. He's got a long history and accolades in public service. So very interesting, from many perspectives. What can we expect? Well, realistically, the heavy lifting that was done has already been done.
Exactly, yes.
The heavy lifting in terms of immigration policy has really been done by the former immigration minister, John McCallum, who will be appointed as ambassador to China. He has a long history in economic policy, has worked in the immigration field for 2 years now. So what we see really is a continuation of government initiatives that were put into place in 2016 through many modifications. So why don't we cover some of those?
Okay, I mean, obviously you can find these on our website at the news section. So if you go to 2016 Year in Review, Part 1, Permanent Residence and Citizenship. So that's where you can find it on the website. But to start, we can start with parents and grandparent sponsorship.
Well, that's a really important change that is really a continuation now and a rollout of a really important development. Parents and grandparents have a new system in place. Previously, it was first come, first serve. Now it's a lottery system.
Yes.
And in the last 3 years, what we had was a rush to submit applications for 10,000 positions. 10,000 applications were admitted into the system. So it became unfair for many people. People were queuing in long lines, all to have a place that would really go quickly in a matter of hours.
Right.
So I think I think many people voiced concerns that it was an unfair system. So now what we have, and it's a new way of doing things in terms of this category of immigration, is we have a basic lottery system. So you've got the caveat here and the call out here is you have until February 2nd, if you're looking to bring in a parent or a grandparent, you have until February 2nd to submit an online form, and then the government hasn't announced when they'll do this, but
they'll be selecting 10,000 people or 10,000 applications.
Right, a random selection of 10,000 applications, and they'll be given 90 days to perfect their application. So that's the first. Let's say a continuation of new policy that the new minister really is going to oversee through an experienced team in Ottawa. The other major initiative.
Family sponsorship.
Family sponsorship really is not a major new rules that have come in place. We're waiting for the dependency age definition to come into place and change. That hasn't been done yet. But what we're really seeing is processing more efficient processing, a new way of processing family class, spousal and partnership applications. The stated goal is to process applications in 12 months. Now, That's something that would be hard to believe, considering where they're coming from. In some cases, they're waiting 4 or 5 years for applications to be processed. So if they can, if this new minister with an established team in Ottawa can actually put into place mechanisms that reach a significant percentage of applications that are processed in 12 months, that would be brilliant.
It would be. And then, so this brings us to economic immigration.
A major initiative that the new minister really is going to carry forward from developments that took place in 2016 concerns the economic immigration. The major category inside that is the express entry system, covers skilled workers, skilled trades, and other subcategories. But the goal is to bring in 73,700 immigrants. That includes family dependents. So if you look at what that translates into, we obviously have a system now with invitations to apply. To reach 73,700 immigrants in the express entry system under the economic class, you're talking about 2.2 dependents per application. You're looking at about 33,500 invitations to apply. Last year, we had about 30,000, somewhere in there. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's about 30,000 total invitations that were issued. So we're on track to increase the number of invitations. But the reality is, in order for the government to have 33,500 main applicants apply for permanent residence, everyone knows that there's a very big drop-off rate. It's about 25 to 40%, somewhere in there. We're waiting for the annual report for 2016. We will expect to see still a significant drop-off. So in order for the government to bring in 33,500 main applicants, they have to issue a lot more invitations to apply than 33,500. We estimate that they need to invite about 50,000, 52,000 invitations over the next 12 months. Why is it so much more than the 27 to 30,000 that were issued in 2016? The reason is because there was the previous system still had quite a backlog, but most of that has been processed. So now we're dealing with really the express entry system that's going to account for the majority of the immigrants coming under that category. Right. We're probably going to see about 14 to 16 draws in the next 6 months. The government is on a mission right now to seemingly get the numbers up, see what the new drop-off rate is in terms of how 90 days makes a difference versus what it was before. To perfect an application was 60 days. So we expect to see a ramped up number of invitations over the next 6 months. So we also expect to see CRS scores averaging below 460. That's quite a big difference from what we were having last year. Yes. And in 2015 when the system first started. So you also have, of course, under express entry, that major changes that took place, and the new minister is dealing with really following through with these previous initiatives. We have reduced points for a job offer, which used to be 600.
Which now it's 200.
200 or 50 for the vast majority of individuals who will have access to a labor market impact assessment. If you have an employer and you're being sponsored to come to Canada, you used to be able to get 600 points. Well, now what you're going to see is lower scores and a lower weight for an approved job offer. And of course, you also have one of the hallmarks of the changes that were done in November of 2016, you have points being issued for Canadian education. So that covers the initiatives that were done in 2016 under the economic class. Right.
And then bringing us to citizenship, so we have Bill C-6.
Bill C-6 was put in 2015. It was approved by Parliament. It went to the Senate, and it went through first reading in the Senate in October of 2016. What we're waiting for is a second reading. Senate is reconvening at the end of January. We haven't seen the agenda item including the new Bill C6, the new Citizenship Act. So we're waiting to see. We expected it to be implemented last year. This hasn't been done. It's being stalled. It's not on the agenda item as of recently. So we hope and we expect, and I'm sure the government hopes as well, that the new citizenship bill will be debated again in the Senate within the next few months at the most. Expect it to be on the agenda quite soon, and then we can expect that the major tenets of the new citizenship law that they're putting in place, they're going to lower the period of residency that you need to qualify, and they're going to repeal the previous requirement of having 183 days in each of the qualifying years. So, and other important elements are included in the package of Bill C6. So those were the initiatives for permanent residence that the new minister really is going to carry forward that we can expect in 2017.
So that's permanent residence. Now this brings us to temporary residence.
Right. I mean, there were some interesting developments primarily affecting foreign workers. We can expect to see further initiatives, a range of initiatives. We're expecting to see a rollout of a new global skills visa that will affect the technology sector and perhaps other sectors. In a nutshell, the goal is to be able to process applications for work permits very rapidly. There's also talk for a 30-day work permit that workers will be able to use on a multiple basis inside a 12-month period. That'll eliminate the need to have to keep applying for a new work permit. So they're looking to do things more efficiently. They're putting in programs that'll allow workers to come in hopefully very quickly because, again, the theme has been long processing delays on the foreign worker LMIAs. Depends which province you were in. There's a wide range of variances.
Okay. So, I mean, we've touched on this briefly earlier, but I mean, so we touched on the LMIA issue. So employers now are concerned. They're concerned with regards to the points.
Big concerns on the part of employers, and I've spoken to many colleagues across the country, and some of our clients and employers are very concerned with being able to retain their workers. When you're only getting 50 points for the vast majority of workers, whereas you used to get 600 points, there will be many workers, executives, management personnel, who are in their 40s, late 30s and mid 40s, and perhaps even older, sitting with an LMIA, but it's only worth 50 points. They'll be very hard pressed to get Canadian permanent residence. Yeah. So many people are voicing concern that it's going to impact and it's going to harm the ability to retain excellent employees. So the answer to that, and I think what people need to start working on, is work on the provinces. The provinces need to start putting in good policies that are going to help their employers, because each province has their own labor market requirements. Employment does fall under the jurisdiction of the provinces. So rather than defaulting to the federal government to do all the heavy lifting and all the nuts and bolts, it's really up to the provinces to put in their own policies and programs that will help employers retain their candidates. In the worst case scenario, the employers will be able to keep renewing work permits. The cumulative time period where workers were permitted to stay in Canada used to be 4 years as a maximum for most categories, but not all. That's been removed. So really what you're going to be faced with is provinces need to start putting pressure on two fronts. Put pressure on Ottawa to increase the allocations for under each program, under each provincial nomination program. And it's really up to the provinces. As I might say, the Quebec government has done quite well in putting in excellent policies and programs. I mean, there's flaws with it as well, but they're so far ahead of all the other provinces. It's quite remarkable. So I think that the provinces need to, let's call it, invest in the employment market, help employers retain, and surely there'll be concerns on retention, but there's not a short-term solution. The reason why they put in this system and removing points for a job offer, it became a system where it was, you needed a job offer, you needed to be working in Canada in order to get Canadian permanent residence.
Right.
That's not the system that the government wanted. That's not the system that employers wanted. And so what you now have really is a system where the value of a labor market impact assessment still can have a very important difference. 50 points for many people will, for someone who's going to be at the 380, 390, 400, 410, it'll make a big difference. So that's the concerns, and I think that's what employers need to do. Put pressure on government in their own provinces. Put in your own programs.
That's great. So finally, express entry. So there's been 2 express entry draws this year. So 6,000 people have actually already received invitations to apply for permanent residence. So the first draw was on January 4th, and 2,902 people received invitations to apply. The score needed was 468. And yesterday, there was also a draw, and the score actually went down. It went down to 459, and 3,334 people received invitations.
6,000 and such in 1 week. It's the most ever under the express entry system. It's clear indication from our perspective. It's clear indication that there's movement now to get people into the system, issue invitations, because it's a tall order to bring in 72,700 individuals. It's a tall order. It seems to be, given where we've come from. And so I think we're going to see, as I said earlier, somewhere between 14 and 16 draws in the next 6 months, perhaps a much bigger number of invitations than we've seen previously. And I think what the message I guess people want to take note is, now's a good time.
To apply.
Now's a good time to apply.
Yes.
You need to begin working and gathering, the language tests that are mandatory, and getting education equivalencies, because these are time consuming. So Canada seems to be in a spot now where individuals who are not working in Canada, who have an interest in relocating here, now's a very opportune time to consider applying for permanent residence if you're a foreign, if you're overseas. That's pretty much I would say is a takeaway.
And our website, a lot of you probably noticed our website has changed. It's more user-friendly, and we do hope that it's easier for you to navigate the news articles, the videos, and so on. Obviously, we love to hear from you, so we've been receiving lots of positive feedback. So if you have any feedback, we also love to hear from you with regards to that. And follow us on social media, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I mean, we have on our website the free online evaluation forms. So if you are looking to come to Canada, as we discussed, now is a great time to apply. We can go through your qualifications and get back to you and let you know what your options are.
We provide excellent
employment
search. I mean, we're seeing that. A lot of our clients are getting employment. Yeah. We're having a lot of candidates receiving invitations to apply on the strength of the job offers that they have. Some are working on work permits, but a lot of our clients are receiving invitations now. So we're providing excellent assistance, not just on the immigration side, but on the employment side through our in-house global recruiters of Montreal. For employers, I want to really go out and say, we're in a position, and we do help a number of employers, and we put together both recruitment and the immigration side of things through our in-house global recruiters of Montreal at www.grnmontreal.com. All our fees are fixed fees, so we're not taking commissions. We're charging fees to an employer that covers both immigration and employment search recruitment. So we'll work with the employer. We'll help them put together an advertising campaign that will meet the immigration requirements. We're really knowledgeable on the ways on putting together effective marketing campaigns to recruit excellent candidates. So you probably won't find that anywhere else, I would venture to say. So I encourage employers, if you have an interest in bringing in excellent candidates, we have a great access point to many candidates that you might be looking for.
And
next live stream, when's that?
Yeah, exciting news. It'll be next Thursday. So next Thursday, please stay tuned. We'll be having our next live stream.
And I think what we're going to try to do on the next live stream is really focus next Thursday at 11 a.m. We're going to focus really on questions and answers. So we're going to invite everyone to complete go to our discussion forum. Tell them about that.
So on our website, immigration.ca, we have a discussion forum. So please do leave your questions there. So hopefully we can answer them next week.
Did we cover everything?
I do believe so.
I want to just really emphasize to everyone, follow us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn corporate page is an area that we do engage with a lot of people, and encourage everyone to dialogue with us. We go out to great lengths to work with you and answer your questions where we can. And our discussion forum as well. We encourage people to complete their questions on our discussion forum for next Thursday, and we'll do our best to select the best questions.
Great. Well, we'll see you next Thursday, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and see you soon.
Welcome to the Immigration.ca live stream series. My name is Andrea, and I'm here with immigration lawyer Colin Singer. Colin is managing partner of Immigration.ca. Colin is also managing partner of Global Recruiters of Montreal, our in-house employment search consulting enterprise. Our main topic today is going to be how to find a job in Canada. Thank you very much for bearing with us. We just had a small technical error, so we're going to continue right now. So before we get started, we'll quickly mention express entry draws. The last express entry draw was on March 1st, so the CRS score was 434. So we do anticipate another express entry draw shortly. So Colin, I mean...
Yeah, we've been obviously a 3-week period since the last draw. We've seen healthy numbers in each draw for the beginning of the year, declining CRS scores, so our fingers are crossed. Maybe there'll be a draw today. It's happened before where the government has held a draw on a Thursday or even a Friday. So we've got a couple of hours left in the week, and we'll be watching and waiting. Right. So let's head in to today's topic, which is how to find a job from outside Canada. A big challenge for many individuals, yes, obviously.
Right. So, I mean, those applying under express entry, there's the two main classes, the Federal Skilled Worker Program as well as the Skilled Trades Program. So obviously...
well, I mean, those are the two bigger categories that we obviously want to cover. We're certainly, what we're going to talk about today also includes individuals applying under provincial nomination programs under express entry, or the Canadian Experience class. So, I mean, if you're in the Canadian Experience class, you're hopefully working in Canada, and this has a limited application for you. But the broad categories of federal skilled worker, talk to our viewers on recap what we've talked about during our last live stream. What are the main categories? How does the system work in terms of coding your occupation?
Okay, so one of the ways, to qualify under express entry, you need to have 1 year full-time work experience under a qualifying occupation. So in order to determine if you have a qualifying occupation, you need to go to the NOC code, which is a National Occupational Classification. So there's A, B, and 0 that qualify. So NOC 0 occupations are, for example, managerial occupations. NOC A, that would be those occupations requiring university degrees.
Right.
And then there's NOCB. So those would be occupations that require, for example, a college degree.
Right. In a summary sense, for a layman's description, the A occupations are more or less the professional positions. lawyers, accountants, doctors, architects, engineers, and other professional types requiring a degree of education. And then there's the B occupations, again, are the technical and skilled trades. Anyone who's going in the skilled trades category, their occupation would be coded under one of the larger B categories of occupations. You can find all of this under a really great tool that we use. It's the tool that we referred to in our last live stream. We're going to include a link in our today's presentation. Once it's uploaded, we will include a link on YouTube and I think on Facebook as well. So you'll have access to a wonderful tool that gives you an overview of the descriptions of the various occupations. Again, when you're applying for express entry immigration to Canada, and you're going in under the either the federal skilled or the trades occupations, really, you know, it doesn't preclude you from looking for positions that are slightly different than your background.
Exactly.
You know, you're not bound to finding a job that is going to, you know, exactly replicate the application that you're submitting under express entry. What we're talking about is how to practically find a job. Obviously, it has to be related to what you're going to be submitting your application under, because that's what you're most employable under. So what we're doing is we're giving people some perspective on the number of occupations that are covered in this broad category, 347, and how to go about actually looking for the description on what it takes to get employed, the education you generally need. But when you're actually putting practice into operation, you don't need to be worried that you're only looking for positions that match the application that you've uploaded to the express entry system or that you're going to plan to upload. So it doesn't need to be so rigidly tied, because when you go into the system, that the tool that we've been referring to, there's many sub-occupations that are classified, and you can go and look in many of the various sub-occupations. So we don't want people to be so rigidly tied to the application description that they're preparing. They can enlarge the scope of occupations that they're going to try to consider for employment purposes. Let's talk about one of the most important parts of this process.
So that would be your CV, your resume. So both your digital one as well as the physical copy that you'll be creating, that you could obviously send a scanned copy by email.
You know, one doesn't, you know, they both are important. So when you're looking for a great application, you want to have, of course, a LinkedIn profile. We often refer to the digital online version really by your LinkedIn profile. And there's some fabulous tools out there. There's these publications called dummy guides. They're a great publication, and you can find an excellent product for how to make a LinkedIn online persona. And there's an excellent dummy guide specifically for your LinkedIn profile. We refer people to that. Of course, when we're preparing digital applications and online versions and written, we also prepare a LinkedIn profile for all our applicant clients. So just summarizing really the important elements of the written version.
Okay.
Let's talk about the important elements. What goes on top of a CV?
Well, that would be your name and your contact details.
It's important to include the contact details. Many people just put their name, you know, an email address and a telephone number.
Yeah.
You don't need your civic city address or wherever you're living. You don't need to put that on the top, but you surely want to have your email ID.
Yes.
Let's talk to them about an important email ID consideration.
Yeah, just make sure your email ID is short, concise, and then obviously don't put too many numbers at the end. If you can make it your name, that would be great. But obviously, make sure that an employer is that's the first thing they're going to see. So make sure that it's something that
something appropriate.
Yes.
What we want you to take away from this particular short descriptive is don't put inappropriate email IDs as part of your application process. If you have an email ID that is what we will call inappropriate, it's not a good way to start off your job search. So ditch email IDs that are inappropriate, and you can go online and find out what is an appropriate email ID and what is not. Make it really simple. Have it tied to your name if possible, your name and perhaps a year of birth, whatever the situation might hold. And again, at the top of your resume, your contact details really clearly laid out. Some of the resumes that we prepare have an opening statement, a profile, we call it a profile, what you have done and what you can do for the employer. Now, for every job you're going to apply for, you're going to tailor-make your profile to that particular position. Obviously, you're going to have a range of positions that you're looking to apply for, and you're going to want to tailor-make your profile opening statement. It's not mandatory, but we often do include a nice short profile. From there, you've got your education, obviously with your most current accomplishments, then followed by your work experience. We use the chronological.
Or the reverse. So your most recent at the top, and then follow, so from most recent to least recent.
So again, short descriptions of your work experience. Very important to use forceful verb descriptions.
Right.
So use one word, start off each sentence. We like to do this, where you start off each description with an impactful verb. Managed, all of these types of description where you're using a verb that describes what you've done. You begin each sentence. Again, what we just talked about earlier very briefly, you want to tailor-make, it's not one resume for every single position.
Exactly. So it needs to be tailored to each job you're applying for, because obviously that shows that you've gone through and you've researched the company, you've researched the position, and you took the time to tailor your experiences accordingly to the job.
Right. In terms of going about the types of positions that you'll be looking for, we look to research companies by broad industry. So there's a number of tools in Canada where you can identify broad industries, and you want to be approaching companies in your industry. Now, each company, you want to put the time, look at the hiring trends that your particular employer that you're looking to approach has been undergoing. You'll get a sense of where they're headed sometimes. There's a lot of useful information on a company's website. You'll be able to see positions that might be currently open. You'll be able to take a look at perhaps an industry direction, where they're headed, and you'll be able to gauge whether this is an up-and-coming potential employment opportunity. Let's talk about hiring managers. Again, it's not good to direct your messages and your applications to the personnel department. That generally doesn't go very far. So if you can identify a hiring manager, this is a bit more strategic. It's a bit more direct, because the person who's going to be ultimately making a decision is who you want to be contacting. What we like to do, and I certainly emphasize this with our search consultants, is that you want to contact by phone wherever possible. More difficult, how do you maximize your chances to reach a hiring manager by phone? You want to do this early in the day. Earliest part of your day. Some hiring managers, many people are in the office by 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's the time you want to try to get through the phone, get into their personal phone mail, call them, and if you're lucky to reach them, that's golden. And the key is a 40-second introduction conversation. Whatever you want to convey, you need to practice this, prepare a script, and you need to be able to summarize everything you're looking to achieve in a 40-second phone call. If you reach the hiring manager, and that's golden if you can do that, it does happen occasionally, you want to be able to reach them and give a very concise 40-second message. People don't have, 2-3 minutes to listen to what you have to say. So you want to prep them why you're calling them, what you're looking to achieve, and you're going to give them a follow-up in your discussion. You're going to be able to tell them what they can look for. And that's really, if you can accomplish all of that, that's a successful phone call. Now, if you can't reach them by phone, email is second best.
Exactly.
What do they need to do with email?
Obviously, as Colin mentioned, you need to keep it concise as well. So 40 seconds for a phone call, but for an email, maybe 3 to 4 sentences. Obviously, in the subject line, you can include your name and the position that you're looking to apply to, for example. And obviously, tailor those 3 to 4 sentences. Keep them concise. You know that this person's getting tons of emails, so you want to be able to stand out.
Another important point that I'd like to emphasize, and we again encourage all our clients who are looking for work, again, it's difficult when you're outside Canada, focus on outlying cities. Everybody wants to work in the major cities. Of course, Toronto is the major recipient of applicants applying for immigration to Canada. So instead of focusing your efforts on the Toronto or Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal, you'll find the success rate is significantly higher if you're looking for companies that are really in the outlying areas. What does that imply? Well, it means in some instances, first of all, you're going to find employers who are much more receptive to you. And it means ultimately you're going to be looking at this as a two-step process, because if you're successful in finding an employer in an outlying area, and ultimately your goal was to settle in a Toronto or a Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, well, you'll be able to do that later on. If perhaps the initial position that you are lucky to succeed in may not be ultimately where you want to settle. Again, we don't have restrictions in mobility in Canada.
No.
You can move around without any formality. Right. So for many individuals, the pathway to Canada on finding a job from overseas is doing this in a two-step process, meaning focus on the outlying areas. You will see a much different response than if you're contacting employers in the major cities. So you're researching companies by industry, you're looking for websites, you're looking for companies who are in outlying areas. Go and look at the area code, the telephone numbers, where you'll be able to determine exactly where these companies are located. We like to tell people to visit Canada,
yes,
right?
That makes a big difference.
And if they can time their visit to Canada, when you're on the phone with a particular employer, if you could get through to an employer, or if you're relegating to a second best email communication, it's always best to try to visit Canada and time your visits to coincide with your employment search. So at least you can be, you're standing out from others who are applying for a job, but you're actually saying to an employer, I'm going to be in your area during the week of. This is very impacting, and it really makes a difference on the success rate if you can coincide your application, your communications with employers, with an actual planned visit to Canada.
Yes.
Now, try these particular suggestions. You will see it makes a very big difference on the overall success rate. There's another interesting strategy that many of our clients can follow, and that's, of course, you've got job fairs in Canada, yeah, where you'll have employers. We've been, just last week, we were at a major job fair in Montreal. We are often requested to attend fairs, and we attended one at one of the local universities here. It was a really well-attended fair. But you'll see job fairs, employers are on hand looking for potential candidates. So if you can identify the job fairs that are taking place during the year, Interestingly enough, many of the provinces are conducting job fairs overseas. So take a look at the various provincial sites, take a look at their immigration programs, and you'll see there's a lot of recruitment efforts taking place in Europe, in Asia, in the Philippines, for example. Major job fairs take place there. Obviously, it's periodically done during the year. But if you can attend a job fair, which are provincial sponsored, many employers take part in these job fairs at the invitation of a provincial immigration program. So it's sometimes you'll be able to benefit from perfect timing, where you're going to actually be able to meet a particular employer. You know, from a general perspective, the job search process, finding a job from outside Canada, obviously a difficult task. So, you know, we want to give people general tips in terms of creating daily goals. You know, it's easy to get discouraged. And, you know, you can't expect to find a job on the first go. So this might take hold over many sessions, many hours of work. Persistence?
Persistence is key. It's very important. I mean, don't give up. You need to just keep sending out your applications. You just need to keep trying.
And you need to follow up with employers on a regular basis. So you've got to be very structured, very organized in terms of creating daily goals. Once you've set out, you know, you might want to contact many hundreds of employers that you've identified in your industry. So you want to be able to follow up with those employers. What you don't want to do is just say, I've made these applications, I haven't heard back, I guess there's no jobs available. That would be the most short-sighted and you know, incorrect way of going about the job search. Just because you haven't heard back from a particular employer on a positive level doesn't mean there isn't a job available. It means they're either busy or the timing isn't right. So it's a question of timing, and you need to be persistent in maintaining contact. If you can establish an email communication with a particular hiring manager,
yes,
you know, it may not be opportune when you're contacting, but you know, it helps you stand out for later on, should you be in a position to actually visit Canada, and then you can follow up. So these are, you know, from our point of view, it's easy to give up, it's easy to get discouraged, but you know, being persistent and following up on a regular basis is really, it's crucial. Let's talk to our viewers on what we do for all of our clients at immigration.ca.
Okay, well, so we provide our clients with a Canadian-style resume, a cover letter, as well as a database of at least 500 potential hiring employers in their field. So the database of potential hiring employers is tailored to each client. So obviously we look at their credential, we communicate with our client to see what industries obviously they're interested in as well, and we create a tailor-made database for them. We also include videos, tutorials, tips, and basically we want to help our clients stand out from the crowd. We want them to maximize their chances to come to Canada.
That's the key, is we really have an effective and extensive knowledge and experience in helping you stand out from others who are applying for jobs. You know, in addition to being what we would consider skilled immigration lawyers and skilled immigration professionals, we're quite knowledgeable and skilled in how to go about finding work in Canada. We're often working with employers. We get contacted on a frequent basis by employers who are looking for candidates. Often we're able to match up existing candidates in our database with potential employers, but we're often recruiting, going out and actively looking for employers. So what we're sharing with you today is really what we see as how to maximize your chances and really how to stand out. You know, we often have employers contacting us, and then we're working with candidates to really, you know, nail the interview. How do you nail that interview? So there's really great tools, and we've got excellent videos in our products that we share with all our clients. So I think you'll find the material quite useful. Again, it's not a science, and you need to have good conditions converging all together in order to succeed. But overall, I think viewers will find that our products are really insightful and in many cases quite useful and successful. Did we cover everything?
I believe, yes, we've covered everything. So, I mean, if you're interested in coming to Canada, please go to our website, immigration.ca, and complete our free online evaluation form. We'll then get back to you with regards to your options. And obviously, if you want to stay up to date with the latest developments in the Canadian immigration news, you can always follow us and like us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can watch we do have our previous live streams on our Facebook and our YouTube page if you'd like to watch those as well.
So we're going to watch out for the next express entry draw, hopefully today, maybe tomorrow, but I would gather to say surely another draw this month. We're going to have our next live stream in approximately 2 weeks. Stay tuned for that. We'll let everyone know. And, well,
that's it. Well, thank you very much. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and look forward to seeing you again soon.